Peyton knows this, but I've been pinching myself all day just due to the fact that I never thought that I would be at the Museum of Ice Cream with a podcast that has the F word in it, sponsored by a fortune cookie company, interviewing higher education people. So I have to give a big shout out to Open Fortune for making that possible. Open Fortune, forget everything you know about the fortune cookie. This advertising company reaches 47,000 people in a moment where they feast, reaching 99% of zip codes. They're giving brands like ZipRecruiter, Duolingo, Chime, and many other colleges the opportunity to reach people in a moment that matters. So big shout out to Open Fortune for capitalizing on the fortune cookie market and making a product that actually stands out. So shout out to them. Hey everybody, and welcome back to How the Fuck Did You Get That Job, where we dive into the intriguing career paths of standout professionals and where I, your host, am always eager to delve into their stories. Today, we're joined by Jeff Harris, a marketing virtuoso in the world of higher education. Jeffrey's academic journey began at Syracuse University, where he honed his skills with a Bachelor of Science in Public Relations. I was as well an SU grad, which we'll get into. Advertising and applied communication. He then expanded his horizons at Hawaii Pacific University with an MBA in business administration and management. Jeff's professional voyage started at McKinsey & Company, where he served as a contract digital media developer. This role paved the way for an impressive 14-year stint as the regional marketing director for the U.S. Navy in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. His expertise then led him to Hawaii Pacific University as their director of marketing and communications. But the journey continued with a significant role at the University of Pacific as the Senior Director of Digital Comms. Before his current endeavor, he was also the Associate VP of Marketing and Communications at Minnesota State University. Now, Jeff is at the helm of marketing at Sam Houston State University as their CMO, or Chief Marketing Officer, a role he's been excelling in for over 4 years. So with a story like that, Jeff, how the fuck did you get that job?
Well, it's been a wide and varied journey, that's for sure.
Definitely. So let's go all the way back. When
Sure.
you were a kid, right? And we'll get to where you are today. But like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So when I was a kid, Star Wars had just come out, and it was landmark change in movie making.
Sure.
And I knew that at that point I wanted to be a part of what was going on in that change, with visual effects. With storytelling that had changed very much, and just the excitement that came out during that time in the sort of mid 70s. Mm-hmm. And so that was my dream then, was to go to Hollywood and be a part of that.
There you go. And what about Star Wars made it so different? Like looking back on it, right?
Yeah.
It obviously has excelled. Hollywood has taken quite the curve up, but what about that movie really stood out to you?
Well, I think it was at a time when movie making was really gritty. There were a lot of westerns. There was a lot of vigilante type films that were going on at that time, and Star Wars came out, and it was a completely different genre. Science fiction, fantasy, sure. And it kind of lightened things up and made things fun again. And again, the special effects were incredible for the 1970s.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, this is a conversation or a question I ask a lot of guests, especially ones in higher ed. But deciding to go to Syracuse University, what made Syracuse the right place for you?
Yeah, so I knew that I wanted to have a real strong understanding of what the marketplace was like, and I knew that I wanted to get involved in new media design and development. And Syracuse had a great program.
Newhouse,
it was well thought of in the industry, so I knew that if I could get into Syracuse, and it was tough, that it would help to accelerate my career.
Absolutely. And so where I went to Syracuse as well. What was your freshman year dorm?
Which dorm?
Yeah.
So it wasn't a freshman dorm, but I lived on South Campus.
Right out of college. Right. Yeah. That's brutal.
So we were full, and the only thing that was open, there were actually some dorms. I don't know what they were
I knew
called.
a couple freshmen who ended up in South, and I felt so bad for them.
That was one of them.
Yeah.
It was
you made it work though.
Awful.
Yeah.
There was actually dorms on South Campus, and that's
It was
where I
not even the houses on South Campus.
No, not even
For
the houses.
those people who didn't go to Syracuse and you guys, like, it's just a campus that is probably a mile and a half
Yeah.
drive, 2 miles from campus with nothing.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. The only thing there are the athletic facilities and like the training. So like if you're an athlete, it makes sense to live on South. But other than that, like you got to take the bus to school every
You
day.
got to take the bus, yeah. Mile and a half each
Oh
way.
man, that's tough. And where else did you? And we'll cut this part. But where did you?
We moved off campus.
Off campus? Where off campus?
So we moved into, I can't remember the name of the street anymore, but it was up the hill.
Euclid?
Yeah, up from Euclid.
Yeah, Comstock? No, Comstock, Euclid,
Yeah.
and one of these. Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Just,
I lived on Comstock for a while.
going back a few years for me.
Yeah. It's a fun time. Well, hopefully we get a football team and a basketball team soon. So, anyway, let me pull this back up. So at Syracuse, you were exposed to a bunch of good professors and Newhouse. Like, what did you learn there that really accelerated your career?
Yeah, so I think for me it was definitely involvement in the TV and radio production that got me most excited. We did a lot with journalism and advertising, excellent classes, but it was actually for me it was the getting hands-on and creating things, documentary films and such that Syracuse allowed me to do that drove it home for me that this is what I wanted to be a part of.
Absolutely.
So.
And you end up going from Syracuse to McKinsey, right? Or was that the first stop out of college?
So yeah, so my entry into working with McKinsey was actually opening up a business. So my business was Frontier Interactive.
Right out of school?
No, coming right out of school, I did some work in films. They were sort of B-rated,
Sure.
Slasher
Sure.
films that were overdubbed, and enjoyed that a ton. And then I also worked at the National Press Building in DC, and got into doing media.
Great.
There. So after that, I had the opportunity to buy some equipment, and I bought some production equipment and secondhand, and opened up a production facility of my own, and did video editing and did production film. So that led me into working with McKinsey.
Gotcha. And for anybody who hasn't started a business, it's a scary thing to do, especially at a young age. I did that myself. But how'd you go around getting your first client or two, right? Especially when you don't have a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot of flyers, letting people know what we're doing, because we hadn't produced anything at the time. So then one of the important things that I did was I created a demo reel. And so I had to make all the material for the demo reel. I created things. I did interviews. I did golf videos. I did a number of different things to just show the skills that we had. And then I did a lot of pitches. So I did work for anybody that would take the work. From wide ranging. I did a promotional video for a pet cemetery. And so that was interesting.
You got to take the gigs where they come.
Yeah, they were all over the place, and eventually got involved in doing some, I think, really cool stuff, which bridged the video production with the interactive media.
Sure.
So this was really before the internet had really taken off and really became a thing. We were doing touchscreen kiosk type stuff for trade shows, and we did them for corporations around New Jersey and New York.
Very cool.
So yeah, it started taking off from there.
Very, very cool. And was there a moment where you realized I'm good at this, and I have a passion for it? Yeah.
So I think for me the moment is in leading the group of people.
Sure.
There were always I was fortunate to have people around me that were very talented and needed support and direction. Programmers, graphic designers, and writers, and video producers. So a lot of that was cobbling those people together and bringing in the work. So the sales work was a big part of my work. And directing them towards these pieces that we were producing for people. It was, I think for me, that was the aha moment of, yes, this is the part that I'm good at. Okay at graphic design, okay at video production, okay at writing.
Sure.
But it was really the leading and supporting everybody that rang true for me.
Absolutely. And you end up, going to McKinsey. What is that experience like? I don't know too much about it, right? Like obviously I know McKinsey. I just saw the John Oliver on McKinsey. So what was your experience at McKinsey? Like
it was fantastic. McKinsey was high energy. It was pouring yourself into the work for a matter of months. Sometimes projects were 6 months, 8 months, and you were full on during that time. So there was a lot of travel involved with that, a lot of video production. We did do interactive production for McKinsey as well. And then when you were done with a client job, you were what they'd call on the beach. So you'd get a little time off, you get to take a little break, and then the next one comes up and you do it all over again. So I worked for McKinsey for about 10 years.
What were some of the favorite clients that you were working at?
PepsiCo was one of the funnest ones I think we did. We did client out of St. Louis, which was, we did National Starch and Chemical, which is an interesting one. And then we did ASCO, which was a part of Emerson Electric.
Okay, awesome. So you end up, you started at Syracuse, cold place, then ended up going over to Hawaii, right? How did that pave the way? How did McKinsey pave the way for that experience?
Well, I think it was the experience that I got while doing the work at McKinsey that made it attractive for the move to the Navy. So I actually was switching from that point. We did a lot of work for pharmaceutical businesses, so very different from doing work for the Navy. It was interesting work, but it really didn't fulfill me at that time. So it was sort of transactional type of work.
Yeah.
The opportunity to do the work for the Navy was really all about people. And so the Navy at that time was going through what they termed as regionalization. So it was taking all their installations and bringing them together into a region. And so as part of that, my job was created in Pearl Harbor, and the expectation was that I'm going to help pull together the installations into a region.
Yeah, and how does marketing differ when you're talking about Pepsi versus the Navy, right? These are two completely different things.
Yeah, well, and the McKinsey work was very different because it wasn't necessarily marketing, it was more reorging.
Yep.
So that was more communication work, and that was very similar to the Navy work, which was all about communications, public affairs, communications, reaching out to the media, being connected to the families and what the families needed on the bases. Some of them were first time over in the islands, didn't know anything about it, so it was supporting them.
Absolutely.
And so we did that through the efforts that we had with our communications.
And what about that opportunity really spoke to you? Were you big into teamwork?
Yeah, the key I think there, and again that kind of leads into I think where I am now is I think what I learned most at the Navy was how teams function together in a healthy manner, and then work towards moving forward.
Absolutely.
As a team.
Yeah, and there's a lot of history there as well. So what was your time like in Hawaii just personally, right? Like I've never been to Hawaii, but what was it like living there?
It was great. So we thought we would be there for a couple of years.
Is this you and your partner? Or,
my wife Deidre,
Nice.
and we had 2 kids, 2 dogs and 2 cats.
Wow, I got 2 dogs and that's it, and it's a lot.
We brought them all over to Hawaii on a whim.
Yeah.
And it worked out great. I think I had the most amazing boss at the time that really let me kind of reach out and explore better ways of doing things there that hadn't been done, I think, in the Navy before.
Sure.
But my personal life in Hawaii was fantastic. The people of Hawaii are just, if you're into being there and a part of that lifestyle and the speed that the island goes at, which is much different than the speed in New York.
Sure.
Then there can't be really a better place. The people are amazing. I think people go to Hawaii because of the weather and the sunshine and the waves and all. If you stay in Hawaii and you're from the mainland, it's because of the people.
Yeah. I don't know if you met Nikki on our team, but her family's from there, and she's right there. She was just there a couple weeks ago and has a lot of family there. So yeah, I got to make it out there one day, but we'll see.
Yeah. Now you know somebody. So
exactly. How was your? Just curious too. We'll speak more about work, but personal life too. Like, how was raising a family in Hawaii?
Raising a family was fantastic. So my wife and I are mixed marriage. And so this, goes back many years, and we wanted an environment where our kids would be seen as just who they are, not what they are. And so in Hawaii, everybody's mixed, so it's not even a thing. Nobody looks at you differently. So that, I think, was a fantastic place for them to grow up in.
Sure.
And really be themselves. So they've now come back for college. They've graduated college. And they're doing really well in their own careers.
Amazing.
Lives. Yeah, so we kind of followed them back.
Yeah, I love that. So what made you want to get into college marketing then, right? You had McKinsey under your belt, you had the Navy under your belt, and then college now. I know marketing is all, one big umbrella, but yeah, just curious.
Yeah, well, I've always been driven to do new things and stretch myself. So I felt like with the Navy, I was with the Navy and the Air Force. We joint based for 15 years, and I felt like that I'd probably run it as far as I could. We did a lot of amazing things while I was at the Navy, and it was kind of I think getting into a bit of a maintenance for me, and that's not something that's terribly interesting. At that time, I had gone back to school for my MBA, and I was very interested in the school that I went to, which was Hawaii Pacific University. So as I graduated, I started getting involved more in like the alumni association and speaking at events, and that led into teaching as an adjunct instructor in the College of Business, which then eventually led into an offer to pull together the marketing and communications at the university, which was a big chore.
And how does marketing and just universities in general differ from Hawaii to the mainland?
I don't know that it differs that much in the function of the job. I think when it comes down to marketing and communications for higher education, there isn't any other product or service that has a longer sales cycle than higher education. You can buy a house much faster than you can close on a deal for higher ed. I can't think of anything else that has a longer sales cycle than
it's true.
So when it comes down to it, when you think about the decision to go somewhere that a student and a parent make, usually sometimes together, that it's really about why. Why is this place right for me? Why do I fit in here? How will I fit in here? And what is engaging and exciting about this? So when I started to really understand that about higher ed, as I was teaching as an adjunct and such, and the opportunity came up to pull the marketing and communications together, that was really attractive to me. Also, I think HPU at the time was in a place of growth. They had just purchased a building in downtown Honolulu, looking to grow more into downtown Honolulu, become an urban campus.
Sure.
And that the story of us at that point was, who are we without a campus when we're a part of a city? And so much of it was your island life. And so your academic life and your island life, and we got to share that story about the experience at Hawaii Pacific University. And it really, I think, resonated well.
Yeah.
We grew enrollment by 15% in 2015 to 16.
So you talk about you're creating this marketing department kind of yourself, maybe a couple other people, and finding out why people are making this decision, right? What's some of the work that you're doing to figure out what people are saying about you and how to get them to start thinking more about decision making in a positive light for the university?
Yeah, so I think that again goes with any university.
Sure.
The key really is to be a listener, to ask questions, to be open to input from multiple areas. So from alumni, where you get a lot of historical data, to new students, where you get a lot of context for the here and now, the faculty and staff. So it's important, I think, to be on a listening tour, which gives you sort of that qualitative approach as to why this is the right place, what we're about, and then turn that into really a deeper study, which would be more survey driven, and going even broader than that. But I think the overall key is to be listening to what everybody's sharing, not driving it. So when I talk to people about moving a university through a brand discovery, I always use the word discovery because the brand is already there. It's not something that you're going to create. It's there. You may not know what it is. You may not be keen on what it is, but the brand is there. So it's really a sort of a unveiling or pulling the rocks up and discovering who we are and what we're about. And you get that from all the people that make up the culture of the space.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I thought you summed that up really well. You end up moving from Hawaii to Minnesota?
So first there was Hawaii to California and then Minnesota.
Okay. So let's jump to where you were at California. Where'd you?
University of the Pacific.
Okay.
Private school.
Got it. Great. And then why? Let me ask this question concisely. When you're making the jump in career pivots from university to university, like what are you looking for?
So I think at that time, I'm looking for different things at different times.
Sure.
And at that time, we had made the decision that we were going to be coming back to the mainland. Our parents were getting older, and our kids were here to stay. And so I had just finished the brand work and the marketing strategy work at Hawaii Pacific University. I loved it. I loved doing brand work. So I wanted to go find a university that was ready to do the next thing, and University of the Pacific was that. They were in a place. They had the funding ready and available. They had the interest to do the brand work, and on top of that, they wanted to launch a completely new website, which is another area that I'm really comfortable with. At the same time, so it was a brand and website work that we did at University of the Pacific. And it was that drove me to go and be there. And I think it was while I was at Pacific that I really stepped into sort of the next level of where I was very interested in doing the brand work and the website work and learning more about that and being able to drive the taxonomy and the navigational structure and all that of the website. At Pacific, we did that, but it really became about bringing people together. So one of the challenges at University of the Pacific was that it was a university that had 3 campuses. One was in Stockton, one was in Sacramento, and one was in San Francisco, with 3 different, very different cultures and personalities. The charge was to bring them all together under one umbrella, which was University of the Pacific. So in order to do that, it was really about connecting those people about what's the common thing that brings us all together. And that really excited me into the sort of next level, which kind of brings us to where we are now at Sam Houston State University.
Let's talk about Sam Houston State too, and just like what made that the right choice for you, and what was super special about, what was their brand originally when people were talking about it, and what are you trying to kind of change and keep from that?
So at Sam Houston State University, I think it's important to share that there really wasn't a concentrated marketing communications that was in place before this.
So what was it before? Just
so it was there was marketing communications in the athletics program, in the enrollment program. There was in advancement there was marketing communications, and then there was marketers and communicators of various titles throughout the university. And so there wasn't any sort of strategy that was driving the brand effort and who we were and why we were enrolling and engaging 2 people. So that had to be built first. So the over the last year, I've been putting together that team and putting it into more of a organizational structure of content, of media, of digital, and marketing and branding. So that was kind of the organizational alignment was really the first step that had to be done.
And curious, what are you looking for when you're in this leadership role, you are hiring people underneath you? What skills, hard and soft, are you looking for?
Yeah, well, that's great. I think to share with you first, though, is that in putting this together, you don't always have the choice of hiring folks. Much of what you're doing is people are coming in from different areas. So the first step is really to, again, listen. I think listening is a big part of this job. Listen to them, have individual discussions with them about where their passions are. So if you can find out where somebody's passion is, then you can get them in alignment with their passion, then there's really no stopping them. As long as you're there to support them and their journey into realizing their passion, what they're interested in. And it might be a passion in video production, it might be in writing, it might be in web development, it could be any number. There's a number of different practices in marketing communications that make up the whole of it. And so it's getting getting that time with the people to understand what's sort of their golden escalator for themselves that's going to carry them up forward with their career. And then getting them in the right place for that. And once you do that, then there's really no stopping this from moving, because then gravity really takes over. They have a belief in what they're doing. They have a buy-in at a personal level into what they're doing, and other people see that and become attracted to that. So that's that gravity. And then more and more people buy in. Well, and what's more better than that in a marketing communications department in higher ed than to be that gravitational force that pulls everything together? Because I believe that there really isn't a purpose for marketing and communications probably anywhere unless you are honest about that you're just a point to support incoming, amazing, outstanding stories, and to distribute, to summarize those, bring those together, and then push them out to share with others. That's your only role. Really.
Absolutely.
And it's a tough role, but it's your only role.
Yeah, no, I mean, that encompasses a lot too, right? That only thing is a lot of things. What are you most proud of over your time at Sam Houston State?
I think what I'm most proud of right now is the way that I've gone about organizing. So when I came on board, the arrangement is that athletics, marketing, communications, and media, enrollment, marketing, communications, and media, and advancement, all of that was going to be brought together under integrated marketing communications. So there were division heads that were losing people, IT people, media people. There was, there's a loss of autonomy, right? There's a loss of control, of direction.
Sure.
The time that I spent at Navy and the time that I spent at the other universities before Sam Houston really helped me to set up for what's the proper way to go about this and bypass the sense of loss that people will have by pulling this together. And so I think it was that process that I'm most proud of now, and I think it's the process that's going to carry us forward to be really successful in what we're doing. And so it was being transparent, vulnerable, honest about what the intention is that I'm doing, and being in a balance of being service focused, but at the same time being strategically focused. So you can be service focused and you're just sort of on this conveyor belt of satisfying everybody's need, and you're not being strategic, and the work is just moving through, and it's based on what everybody else thinks it should be. There's that. But then there's the strategy that has to come into that hopper, and that has to be, curated itself. It has to be well thought out. And so it's not so much about everything coming in, but it's about what needs to come in. And now now we're in these conversations that are really negotiations and agreements throughout the university community on what is the right messaging that we need to do to raise the reputation of the university, to be transparent as an entity, because that's the key towards enrollment.
Absolutely.
People seeing themselves there. And so it's not everything is going to fit that, and so there's a challenge in sharing that so that people still have buy-in, and there's also an understanding, because you only have it's people, time, and money. Everything it's people, time, and money. So you've got to manage the amount of work that the people are doing, and you've got to keep room available to be agile when something comes up. So I think that's the most exciting part. We didn't do a grab of people, but what we did do, and the president was great that she gave me the opportunity to take the time to do this, right, I think, and that's that it was an opt-in process. So the deans and the division heads got to choose whether they were going to move people over to integrated marketing communications or not.
Gotcha.
And it's been going well.
That's amazing. Well, super stoked to hear it's going well, and you're working on a plethora of things and a lot of organizational and leadership stuff that we covered. So that was awesome. I want to talk about Jeff, the human being too, and just like personal life. What hobbies are you into? Are you into history? Are you into sports? What do you spend your free time doing?
Yeah, that's funny. You said two of the things that I'm really interested in. So I had a minor in history as well. So I'm a big history buff. I love history. I follow primarily baseball, but I'm starting to really get into football too.
There you go.
Because now we have athletics under us, so I'm starting to follow football as well. I'm a big skier, snow skier.
Great.
So I enjoy doing that. I'm a swimmer and a cyclist.
There you go. I'm a swimmer and a cyclist too. So
that cardio.
Yeah, I gotta keep it going. Gotta keep it going. Well, Jeff, that was awesome, man. We got the lightning round, and we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Open Fortune, bringing us the lightning round. Open Fortune owns the Fortune Cookie as a media platform and is a key tool for brands to reach their potential consumers. Funny story about these. Part of my job, I look up Fortune Cookie and Google it, and I saw that there was a story about an Idaho State student that came out yesterday. She's a D1 volleyball player. She's going to pick her college, and she was deciding to stay in-state at Idaho or go to Virginia. She saw a fortune cookie that said, "You don't have to go far to succeed," and she ended up dedicating to go to Idaho State instead of a school in Virginia. So I thought that was really cool. But let's crack open one of these.
Follow the fortune cookie
and see what we got and see if it's related to our episode.
All right.
So mine says, "Greatness is closer than you once thought." And on the back, I got the Lumberjacks of Northern Arizona University.
The Lumberjacks, okay. Yeah. So mine says, "Learning is a journey, not a destination."
There you go.
And on the back, I have, 1 in 3 students graduate debt-free.
There you go.
And that's Illinois State
there
University.
There you go.
Nice.
There we go. Got to rep our clients. All right, let's hit these quick. Person you'd most want to sit down to dinner with, dead or alive?
Oh, lightning round. I would say Elon Musk.
There you go. Favorite city in the world?
Favorite team?
City.
Oh, favorite city. Honolulu.
Is it okay to sleep with socks on?
No.
Favorite rom-com?
Say?
Favorite romantic comedy?
Sleepless in Seattle.
In 40 years, what will people be nostalgic for?
Cell phones.
What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
Don't move to Hawaii.
In one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
Old school.
One thing people don't understand about collegiate marketing is?
That it's about who we are.
And in 10 years, where can we catch you?
consulting.
There you go. Well, excited to see you.
Those were good, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
You bet.
I'm glad you had a good time.
That was really a lot of fun.
Sweet. Cut.
Yeah.
Boom.